Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and another vlog. Today we're in Iceland, and I was silly and I didn't record any talking videos, so I'm just going to do a voiceover. But we started off in Reykjavik at a hostel called Kex, which honestly was amazing, 10 out of 10 hostel, and they had the best pastries in the morning. I was literally loving life, and I'm so not a morning person, so that's how you know. And then there was this cafe nearby, and they also had some really good food. I can't remember the name of it though. Yeah, we just explored around Reykjavik, which is not as big as you'd think it would be. You could do the whole thing in pretty much a day, maybe two. The harbor and the town itself was actually stunning. This looked like the main building in Reykjavik. The way that it was built, like the pattern or the texture, whatever you want to call it, the way that the sun would reflect off of that was just chef's kiss. Another thing that I wasn't expecting was the street art. I didn't know that Reykjavik had such amazing street art, but you could tell just from the photos here that the people there have an insane amount of skill. So, hello, kitty. Of course, we couldn't miss the famous church.
Marina cherry, that looks good.
On a food tour and saw the Rainbow Road. Of course, we had to see the Rainbow Road. I don't recall the exact food tour that we went on, but if anyone wants it, I can do some digging to find out exactly what it was. But the food on it was incredible. And I'm pretty sure that they said that all or most of the ingredients that they had were locally sourced from the island itself. And you could taste it because the food was just so fresh. And I got to meet a bear, which was pretty cool. They also had this American diner, which was interesting. I look high as shit in this photo, but I don't remember the food being that good, but for the atmosphere and the vibes, it was pretty good. And then we got to see the Icelandic sagas, which I don't know if you'd call it a play, but it was really hard to understand because I can't really understand the Icelandic accent, but it was entertaining nonetheless. Oh my gosh, you guys, the volcano hike. Okay, I cannot stop talking about this. Okay, this lives rent free in my head. So this is where it started. Well, there was a long walkway, but this is where the mountain started, and you could see how steep it was. There were so many people that arrived to do this. There weren't just like one or two buses. There were like a dozen, possibly more. The thing about this hike is that the beginning is deceptive because while you're hiking up the beginning and you're like, damn, my cardio is so bad, you think that it's over. You think that that's the hard part, but no, no, I was so wrong. Okay, let me tell you guys something. This hike was 4.5 hours each way. It was a 9 hour hike. And for someone who doesn't do cardio, oh, it was brutal. It was brutal, okay? I have never been physically strained like that in my entire life. That was just a different level of tiredness. But luckily, in the distance, you could start to see the the smoke rising from the volcano. And also, the thing about the path on the hike is that the rocks, you can see here, the rocks are like craggly, so you have to watch your feet the entire way. So it is literally just like 9 hours of you watching your feet so that you don't break your ankle. You guys, we finally made it, and it was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. I put so many photos and videos here just for you guys to hear it and see it. It was such a once in a lifetime thing. I'm grateful for it every single day. I've never seen anything like it, and if you guys get the chance, if you guys could choose to do one thing in Iceland, it is this. Okay, out of everything on this list, do this. Because the 9 hour hike, that's how you know. The 9 hour hike was worth it, and I'm saying that, and I don't run, okay? My cardio's not the best. You guys, the crazy thing about this is that you could literally feel the heat radiating off of the volcano from so far away. And you might be like, well, duh, when you're actually experiencing it and you're like, that looks kind of far away and I'm already feeling hot. Like, it feels like a hot day. It just really puts it into perspective. Also, we brought snacks, thank God. But there were people that were sitting even closer than me and my sister were, which I don't know how they were doing that. Like, I'd be so scared because it was on an incline, so I'd be kind of scared of like falling down further. We started this hike sometime in the afternoon, and I think we finished around like 1 a.m. But once it started to get dark, it just made the views even more incredible because it really made the lava stand out. You guys, the walk back down was insane. It was actually insane. If you guys do this, bring your own flashlight, okay? They provide flashlights, but mine died on the way back, okay? It pretty much died. Like, you couldn't see anything with it, and I had to rely on the flashlights of everyone around me to be able to see the rock that was right in front of me. And like I said before, the rocks were craggly, so if you couldn't see them, if you stepped on them even the wrong way, they were jagged enough that you would break an ankle. So please don't make my mistake and bring your own flashlight, okay? The next thing we did was sub-zero swimming. This was incredible. I'm saying all of this was incredible, but honestly, Iceland overall is just incredible. But this in particular, you're swimming between tectonic plates. And I think there were wetsuits that we had on, but yeah, it was sub-zero. Flora in the water was unlike anything I've ever seen. It was really interesting. I didn't see any fish though. I didn't see any creatures. The one thing that I wasn't prepared for was how short it was. I think it was only like 10 minutes of swimming. Like, it really wasn't long, but honestly, for what you're getting, like the sub zero and being able to swim between tectonic plates, it was pretty cool. Another thing we did was we visited the structure. I don't know what it's called, but it was interesting because it looks exactly the same as Giant's Causeway in Ireland. So I put a picture of those rocks. You can see it literally, if you've been to the Giant's Causeway, you can see the rock structure looks exactly the same. Why are you running? Why are you running? We also went to Sky Lagoon. If I went back, I would probably go to Sky Lagoon again rather than Blue Lagoon just because there's less people there. The day that we went, the weather was not great, but they had this Viking skincare 7 step sort of thing, and all I know is that when I came out, my skin was so smooth. I went in and I got their moisturizer, and I still use it to this day. And they also had a swim up bar, which was pretty cool. Another thing we did was a glacier hike. This was with a tour company, I don't remember the name, but I was just excited to get a pickaxe, as you can see in the photos. Also, there was a thing you could do called a Viking push-up, where you use the pickaxe to do a push-up to drink the water out of the stream. We saw a Svartafoss waterfall. I think I'm saying that correctly, but this was another just a gorgeous natural area. You could see that the rocks are the exact same as the Giant's Causeway again. So it wasn't just on that beach before, which I think is really interesting. I don't know the science behind it, especially because Ireland and Iceland are so far away, but if anyone does know the science, I'd be interested to hear about that in the comments. Another place I'd definitely put on your list is Diamond Beach. It was another black sand beach, and it was just covered in these crystal clear, massive chunks of
What
ice.
is this?
I'm pretty sure that's why I got the name Diamond Beach, which is very fitting.
Battery died. Oh, it's still going! It's still moving!
Wait, I'm getting a video of it. Yo, look, there's a mini one right there. This was in the same area as Diamond Beach. You could walk across the way and go glacier kayaking, which was incredible. The wind that day was insane, as you heard, and we were just allowed to kayak because of the wind. If it was any worse, we wouldn't have been able to go out. And I think eventually we had to go back in because of the wind. And the last thing that we did that I'd definitely consider adding to your list is Icelandic horse riding. I had a little horse, his name was Osk. I miss him dearly. This is him and I. Good times. The thing that's interesting about Icelandic horses is that not only are they hilariously tiny, but once they leave the country, they're not allowed to be let back into Iceland just for disease purposes. So for that reason, you wouldn't really find any Icelandic horses anywhere else in the world.